Welcome to Black and Gold Today Digital Edition, an in-depth look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, welcome on into another edition of Black and Gold Today Digital Edition. I'm Mike Fenner, joined by Ashley Kaiser and videographer Kent Urbanski. And guys, we're coming off a Week 2 win for the Steelers to talk about as Pittsburgh took down the Cleveland Browns. First AFC North game of the year, a 26-22 final. First initial thoughts from you guys. Ashley, if you want to start off, just talk about what you took away most from that game.
Yeah, it's nice to talk a little bit, on a positive side because they did get their first win. It was at home. But I don't know if there's too much to talk about that was positive. It was kind of messy offense, obviously. That's something that a lot of people were complaining about as fans. They had the Fire Canada chant that was, echoing in Acrisure Stadium, which is tough. But on the defensive side of things, we saw a lot of good things. 2 touchdowns. Obviously, TJ broke, the record there that he was waiting to do. And of course, Alex Highsmith had, I think, 7 tackles. And then he also, of course, got AFC Player of the Week. So that was very cool.
On defense. Ken, what about you?
Yeah, defense showed up in this game and actually won it for them.
No doubt.
The offense is a work in progress, but I don't think Kenny. Everyone's on bashing Kenny Pickett right now, and I don't think he's playing as poorly as what it looks like. Maybe what the statistics say. I mean, he's when you compare the 2 quarterbacks in this game, Deshaun Watson is, I don't know, what is he, $150, $200 million, $250 million quarterback versus what Kenny Pickett makes. I don't want to get into, comparing incomes there, but I don't think statistically they were that much far off from each other, Kenny certainly, he had the 1 interception early, but didn't turn the ball over, quite like, Watson was doing. I think that's going to start to pick up a little bit and come around, and they'll figure it out. And I really like Kenny's attitude on the South Side in his interviews. He's like, yeah, we're getting there. We'll figure it out. It's just going to take time to get back. The word has been mojo this week, started by Mike Tomlin. It's just play calling, I think, has a little something to do with that. They got to go out and just relax and play ball. And this week going into another hostile environment and for the first time, I think that might be a little troublesome. And this might not be the week to see an explosion in offense, but I think it'll be better.
You have to think about the turnover margin. In the NFL, I think especially compared to other level of footballs, it's so important. Mm-hmm. And even though Pittsburgh was outgained 408 to 255, no one cares at the end of the day because they outscored Cleveland on the night. And those takeaways, those turnovers have a lot to do with the outcome, I think. You look at maybe the play calling like you're talking about, that in a game like that, you just don't have to make mistakes. You had the early interception, like you said, but they were just waiting for Cleveland to make that costly mistake. Right. And it seemed like that fumble where Alex Highsmith gets the strip, TJ Watt gets the scoop and score. From there on out,
and that's what you don't want to see in Vegas, happen to the Steelers, I think Cleveland probably came in to this game in Pittsburgh on Monday night thinking that they had a lot of confidence and that they could win this game. And to me, had Nick Chubb not got hurt, they might
changed things
for
sure.
It might have. Yeah, it changed the whole dynamic of that offense when he went out. You could tell. Although Ford did step up and he still had 100 yards rushing. Granted, another big chunk play, padding those stats. So going out to Vegas, I think with this, if the defense can still continue to turn the ball over, cause turnovers, and give the offense short field, then I think they have a really good shot. And the Steelers have to worry about the same thing. Got Max Crosby on that side that can be very disruptive, although the Steelers did a great job with 2 of the greatest pass rushers in the last 2 weeks in Bosa and Garrett. So.
You mentioned Kenny, of course. I feel like with the quarterback, it's always, they either get all of the praise because they, did really well, or they're always the fall guy. So you also have to weigh that. Like, everyone always looks to the QB, is going to criticize whatever happened in the game and put it towards him. But like you said, he has a positive attitude. He understands the plan. You
Right.
build off of each game and off of 1 and 2. They've done that. They got the win the second game. So it's into building in week 3 and what they can do and improve on in this next game.
So in that Week 2 matchup, 6 quarterback sacks. You had the 4 forced fumbles, the takeaways, the 2 defensive touchdowns. Alex Highsmith scores on the first play from scrimmage on a 30-yard pick six. TJ Watt late in the game, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, as we talked about. And as you mentioned, Nick Chubb, the unfortunate knee injury. What a scene that was. I mean,
yeah, you hate to see that. I mean, I mean, he's such a dynamic, great player. You hate to see somebody go out for the season, and you want the best. You want to play against the best players. You want to see how you match up and play against another team's best players. And when he went out, I was sad for him. He's a really good player, and it's tough to see a good player like that and lose the season from an injury like that.
Wanted to ask you guys, how does Pittsburgh generate more big explosive plays? We saw the George Pickens catch and run, 71-yard touchdown. He's an athlete. He's a guy that's just going to go and make a play like that. And when he gets loose, there's no telling what he can do. How do they get guys like that and more explosive plays offensively, whether it's in the passing game or in the running game? We haven't seen that yet, really, from Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren, aside from maybe a couple 20, 30-yard chunk plays. How does this Pittsburgh offense get some more big plays to help itself out?
I mean, obviously you can look at it as, go to Pickens, go to Pickens. But he's open a lot of the time, and he's quick, like you said. But you go to the same guy over and over, they're going to catch on to it. So you always have to be versatile in who you're working with. So that's going to be a tough one, I think.
I also think, though, if you start targeting Pickens early, it might pull some double coverages his way and open up the middle of the field to Freiermuth and guys like that. So that's what a dynamic number 1 wide receiver should do for a team, is open it up for others. And so I think early in this game, I mean, you need to take the crowd out of it. So you have to have a couple of splash plays right at the beginning. You're going to face stacked 8-man fronts because they know the Steelers are struggling to run the ball, so they're going to take that away and try to still make the Steelers one-dimensional and make Kenny beat them through the air, which I think he's capable of doing with the right play calling.
Obviously, you mentioned Max Crosby already, a great edge rusher. Robert Spillane, a guy playing linebacker, a former Steeler. That's been talked about this week on the defensive side of the ball. For the Raiders on offense, it's Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback coming over from San Francisco. Josh Jacobs, one of the top backs in the league, who's still trying to get going here early on in the season. And then Devontae Adams at wide receiver, always a tough cover as well. So some really good weapons on the Raiders side. What really stands out, Kent, in terms of what you're seeing, just expectation-wise, for what Pittsburgh has to watch out for?
Well, obviously, Jacobs can just have one. He's looking for that bust-out game, and no better time to do that than on your home turf. So you got to stop that. Steelers have to be committed to stopping the run. Garoppolo is not a big-time scrambler type quarterback, so our edge rushers need to step up again and put pressure on him and maybe turn. A couple turnovers there, even with whether a sack fumble. Like I talk about that every week, how important that is, and giving the offense a short field to work with. But I'm looking for on their offense. I mean. I don't know. It all depends. Devontae Adams, is he out of concussion protocol? I mean, I don't know how healthy these guys are going to be. Coming in. So again, to me, it's stopping the run first, and then getting pressure on Garoppolo.
Now, obviously, this is their first road game, right? So that can play into things. This is the first time they're going to be playing in this stadium. So, looking at their success on the road and stuff, first one for the season, it can change things. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this sets up as a great opportunity. I think the matchup here this week and the next week with Houston, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I think this is an opportunity for Pittsburgh to build off that first win.
Yeah. I
think this is going to be a good stretch for this team. You look at the schedule and try to build up some confidence offensively and try to find that rhythm, find that balance on offense. And I think, as much as you talk about stopping the run on defense, I think Pittsburgh's got to establish the run a little bit more.
Right.
This could be a week where they can do that. And maybe the Raiders are thinking they've got to pin their ears back and come after Pickett, but maybe it's a good time for Najee Harris to have a nice night.
Right. I hope so. I mean, they need to go. They don't have a 100-yard rusher here for I don't know how far that's even dating back. So.
Right.
If that happens and they can control the time of possession with the run game, then obviously that's a recipe for success. And I know Steeler Nation's going to turn out very well in Vegas. I'm expecting to see a sea of black and gold and those terrible towels waving in Vegas.
Instead of the black and silver, right?
Instead of
You see the
black and
gold.
silver, right.
Steelers trying to win against the Raiders on the road, as you pointed out, first time since 1995.
Yeah.
And of course,
Before I was born.
Yeah.
that was 2 years after I was born. So yeah, there's your timeline if you want to get at that. But yeah, looking to get a win on the road in prime time. Steelers gonna be taking on the Raiders in week number 3. And of course, when we see you next week, we'll break that all down and we will look ahead to week 4 against the Houston Texans. But for now, Ken Urbanski, Ashley Kaiser, I'm Mike Fenner. Thanks so much for joining us once again for Black and Gold Today Digital Edition. We'll see you later on.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for another edition of Black and Gold Today Digital Edition.